The village of Sundarpur was small. It was quiet. It was nestled deep within the emerald embrace of West Bengal's countryside. Life in Sundarpur moved at the pace of the seasons, governed by ancient rhythms and shrouded in traditions as old as time. Here, amidst the paddy fields and bamboo groves, lived a young man named Bimal. Unlike his peers, Bimal harboured a skeptical mind. He questioned the old ways. He scoffed at the whispers of the supernatural that clung to the village like morning mist. Bimal was known for his courage, his quick wit, and his unwavering belief in logic and reason. He dismissed the tales of mythical creatures and restless spirits as mere fables, stories spun to frighten children and perpetuate superstition. His rational mind sought tangible explanations for the unknown, refusing to be swayed by the fears that held his fellow villagers captive. He often challenged the village elders, much to their chagrin. He would engage them in heated debates, demanding proof for their age-old beliefs. "There's no such thing as magic," Bimal would declare, a confident smirk playing on his lips. "Everything has a logical explanation." The elders, with their weathered faces and knowing eyes, would simply shake their heads and sigh. They knew that Bimal, in his youthful arrogance, was blind to the unseen forces that danced just beyond the veil of reality. Among the many superstitions that Bimal scoffed at, none were as unsettling as the legend of the Nishi Daak, the call of the night. It was a tale whispered in hushed tones, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked at the periphery of their world. The Nishi Daak, as the legend went, was a malevolent spirit. It roamed the night, its voice a siren song, luring unsuspecting souls to their doom. The elders spoke of a voice that mimicked the voices of loved ones, calling out from the darkness, beckoning villagers into the clutches of the night. Those who heeded the call were never seen again, their fates forever shrouded in mystery. The villagers believed that the Nishi Daak fed on the life force of its victims, growing stronger with each soul it claimed. Fear of the Nishi Daak ran deep in the veins of Sundarpur. "It's just the wind playing tricks on your ears," Bimal would argue, his voice laced with amusement. "Don't let your imaginations run wild." He refused to believe in the existence of such a creature. To him, the Nishi Daak was nothing more than a figment of their collective imagination, a tool used to control the villagers through fear. Little did Bimal know his skepticism would soon be put to the ultimate test. For the Nishi Daak was more than just a story. It was a chilling reality that awaited him in the depths of the night. One moonless night, as the village slept under a blanket of darkness, a storm gathered on the horizon. The wind howled through the trees, its mournful cries echoing Bimal's unease. He tossed and turned in his bed, a strange sense of foreboding gripping his heart. Suddenly, through the cacophony of the storm, he heard it. A voice that sent shivers down his spine. It was his father's voice, a voice he hadn't heard since his father's passing a year ago. "Bimal!" the voice called out, faint yet clear. "Bimal, can you hear me?" Bimal sat up in bed, his heart pounding in his chest. He strained his ears, listening intently. The voice seemed to be coming from the edge of the forest, beckoning him. A wave of conflicting emotions washed over Bimal. Fear battled with disbelief, curiosity with common sense. His father's voice, so familiar, so real, tugged at his heartstrings. But the logical part of him screamed at him to stay put. He knew the stories, the warnings about the Nishi Daak. Could this be it? Was this the call that the elders had warned him about? He hesitated, torn between the rational and the irrational. The voice called out again, laced with urgency this time. "Bimal, please, I need your help. Don't you recognize my voice?" Driven by a mixture of love and concern, Bimal decided to investigate. He told himself he was being foolish, that there had to be a logical explanation. He grabbed a lantern and stepped out into the stormy night. The wind whipped at Bimal's face as he made his way towards the forest's edge, the lantern's flame dancing wildly in the darkness. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and the ominous silence of the night. Each step he took filled him with a growing sense of dread. The voice grew stronger. as he ventured deeper into the woods, guiding him along a winding path he had never noticed before. The trees pressed in on him, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, their leaves rustling like whispers of warning. The darkness seemed to pulsate around him, a living, breathing entity. His heart pounded in his ears, each beat echoing the growing fear within him. He had never felt so alone, so vulnerable. "Father, is that you?" Bimmel called out, his voice trembling slightly. The only response was the rustling of leaves and the distant howl of a jackal. He hesitated, doubt gnawing at his resolve. He thought about turning back, about seeking the safety of his home, but the voice called out again, closer now, filled with a desperation that Bimmel couldn't ignore. "Bimmel, my son, don't leave me, I need you." The voice seemed to be coming from the heart of the forest, urging him forward. Bimmel, his fear momentarily forgotten, pressed on, his lantern casting eerie shadows that danced and swirled around him. He was in too deep now, both literally and figuratively. He had to find the source of the voice, had to know if it was truly his father calling out to him from beyond the grave. As Bimmel ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the air grew heavy, thick with an unnatural stillness. The storm outside seemed to fade into the background, its fury replaced by an eerie silence that pressed in on him, suffocating him. The trees loomed over him, their branches intertwined, forming a dense canopy that blocked out what little moonlight managed to pierce the stormy sky. The path, if it could even be called that, had disappeared, leaving Bimmel to navigate through a labyrinth of tangled undergrowth and gnarled roots. The voice, once so clear, now seemed to be coming from all directions at once, surrounding him, taunting him. It was no longer the comforting voice of his father, but a distorted, mocking echo that sent shivers down his spine. A cold realization washed over Bimmel. He had been a fool. He had let his emotions cloud his judgment, had allowed his skepticism to be overridden by a desperate hope. This was no ordinary voice. This was the Nishi Daak toying with him, luring him to his doom. Panic surged through him, cold and sharp. He had to get out of there, had to escape the clutches of this malevolent entity. Turning on his heel, he stumbled back the way he had come, his heart pounding against his ribs. The lantern slipped from his grasp, plunging him into absolute darkness. He thrashed about blindly, his hands reaching out, grasping at nothing but empty air. The voice, closer now, seemed to be laughing at him, mocking his terror. The unseen presence that Bimmel had so vehemently denied was now undeniably real, a palpable entity that sent shivers of primal fear coursing through his veins. He could sense it all around him, cold and ethereal, toying with him like a predator with its prey. The voice, no longer pretending to be his father, morphed into a guttural growl, a sound that seemed to emanate from the depths of the earth itself. Bimmel scrambled backward, tripping over roots and unseen obstacles, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He could feel the forest closing in on him, its embrace no longer welcoming but threatening to swallow him whole. The darkness itself seemed to press against him, suffocating him, driving him to the brink of madness. He had never felt so alone, so utterly vulnerable. The world he thought he knew, a world governed by logic and reason, had crumbled around him, leaving him exposed to the terrifying reality of the unknown. Tears streamed down his face, a mixture of fear and regret. He had been so arrogant, so quick to dismiss the beliefs of his elders. Now he was paying the price for his skepticism. The voice continued to torment him, whispering his name, drawing him deeper into the heart of the forest. It spoke of things that chilled him to the bone, things that shattered his perception of reality. It was a voice that seemed to know his deepest fears, his darkest secrets, and it used them against him, amplifying his terror, driving him towards the precipice of insanity.